and welcome to Giggles and Yarn, my crochet channel. This is Nelly from South Africa. Welkom by Giggles en Gare. Bienvenue à toutes et chacun. Today we are going to crochet this basic teddy. Our teddy is not going to be this basic, but it's going to be based on this. So we start there with 6 single crochets and 6 rows, and then we're going to attach it with 3 rows and then make our arms and 6 rows of single crochets, and then we're going to make 32 rows of 12 single crochets across, and then make our mirror arms and our mirror legs, and we end off there and we attach another leg on this side, and so we in the end we fold it in half, and there is the space where we're going to stuff our teddy. We'll fit everything neatly on top of each other, and then we're going to sew it up, and we're going to make the face and ears. So, and then stuff it, and that's it. These are some of the teddies I've made before. This one is a multicolor one, and I had this pretty little yarn that someone gave me that made a nice finish. It's a very basic face and pointy ears, so this is more like a kitty cat. And then of course this one is exactly the same pattern but different colors and different finish of it, so it came out more like a golly, and long huggy arms. Look at that, long arms. So today we can make a multicolor teddy with long arms, and this one's also exactly the same pattern, just a completely different face and finishing off and so on. So let us begin our multicolor teddy. So let's start with a slip knot. And we're going to chain 6. Then we're going to work 6 rows of single crochets. Okay, so every time you start your row, you will first chain 1. So for my teddy, I'm going to chain 1 at the end of each row and then turn my work. So, but for me to start row 1, I have to chain 1. So it was 6 chains plus 1 chain. Then I begin in the first, well, of course it's this stitch. See, there's your chain, and you begin here. There's your chain, and we're going to begin in this stitch. There. That's your first single crochet. Continue. Single crochets all the way. For the whole chain. Okay. So we've made 6 single crochets. I'm just going to pull this last one tight. It's not a stitch. It's just the yarn where we began our chain. So now I chain 1 and turn my work, and now I'm going to continue working my single crochet. So we've done 1 row of single crochets, and we're going to do well, I'd say 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, actually 6. Let's do 5 more rows of single crochet. So you know, when you've chained 1, there is a stitch here, there. Every time you want to start in this stitch here, right at the beginning. So you don't start here. You begin right against your chain there. There's a stitch. Okay, so that's our first one. Five. And our last stitch is just in there. See? Just in here. Finished our second row of single crochets. Going to chain 1 and turn my work. So that's what that looks like now. And we continue 4 more rows of single crochets. So continue making 4 more rows of single crochets, and then I'll meet you at the end. So here I am at the end of my 5th row, and let us make the 5th row together, or the 6th row together. So I've ended my 5th row of single crochets. Now make a chain and turn your work, and then make a row of single crochets, 6 all together. 1 single crochet in each stitch for the whole row until the end. There we've reached the end of row 6, and now we'll just make a chain and cut the yarn and finish off. Doesn't have to be a particularly long piece for now. So pull it through, and there's your first leg. Okay, now make 1 more leg like this. So there I finished both legs, left and a right leg. And so you see this is the right side up, so your beginning tail is on your right side and your ending tail is on your left side, and we've made 6 stitches across and 12 rows in length for each. And however many rows you decide to make, or if you decide to make a smaller teddy or a bigger teddy, as long as your legs are always the same size, and then of course the mirror legs that we're going to make to fold over must also be the same. So as long as your legs and arms are always the same size, it doesn't matter how many rows you use. 6 stitches is basically good, even if you increase your yarn hook, but the number of rows that you make, that can differ as long as, like I say, your arms and legs are all the same sizes, so that when you sew it together there's not a problem. Also, don't use different weight yarns for legs and arms, because that's going to compromise your stitching up and your, well, the actual size of it. But if you use different weight yarns for color changing in the body and the neck and the head, that's okay. So let's do a single crochet row of single crochets right across both legs, and that way they're going to be tied to the rest of the body. So you never actually tie the legs to each other. That's not necessary. In fact, it's a problem, because it creates this huge chain in between them, which always looks unneat. So only tie these legs together with a row of single crochets across. Okay, let's do that. Now choose any color of your choice. And pull up a yarn. So to add your new colors, just use both strands and make a chain, and you'll continue with only one strand. Now that's nice and tight. So now, of course, like we start our row with a chain. Make a chain and then single crochet into that same space. Then just make single crochets right across this leg. Now we come to the end of the first leg, and now we're going to tie the second leg on. So with this yarn behind, insert your hook into the front of the first stitch of the other leg, then pull up a yarn and make a slip stitch. Pull tight. And now it's going as if we were going to start this row of single crochet. So we're going to chain one and make a single crochet into that same space. And then continue making single crochets all across the rest of the second leg. So altogether we're going to have 12 single crochets, and now we've tied the legs onto the rest of the body. The whole teddy is basically one piece. Now we've come to the end of the second leg, and there we have it. Now you have attached the legs to the rest of the body. In the end it's going to be like that. Now my suggestion is, if you're going to change colors, always make 2 rows of one color. So let's chain one and turn our work and continue making single crochets. The first one is the first stitch there, and then we make single crochets right across 12 stitches. Now be careful when you come to the middle, because this chain is not a stitch, it's just your slip stitch. Skip it and go into the first chain of the second leg and pull tight so we can eliminate that gap there. And then we continue with single crochets until the end of the second leg. Now we are working on the body. The body only has 3 rows before we start with the arms. Okay, so I'm always going to change my color on this side. So when I change color, I end off my previous color. Chain up, cut your yarn and pull through. Now you bring your new color and we're going to make one more row of single crochets, and as we come here we're going to continue with the first arm here. So you find your new color and insert your hook into that first chain. Then, as we've done before, take both strands, make a chain, and then pull tight. Continue with one strand. Let's start our row by making a chain and then single crochet into that same space. Now make a row of single crochets all across the whole body for 12 stitches. This time, here in the middle, this is an actual stitch. So if you count back later on, you'll see that's only 12 stitches. Pull it tight. I've always had a problem making teddies. I've made more than 50 teddies so far, and that in the middle there seems to be a gap. But you can eliminate it by just pulling tight a bit. Now we've reached the end. Now here we're going to make our first arm. If you make a normal teddy arm, it's going to be 8 chains. So we can chain 8, 1, 2. But if you're going to make a huggy arm like I'm going to do, you're going to chain 50. So because you want a real nice hug from this teddy, or the person you're going to give the teddy to. So chain 50. So now I've finished my 50 stitches for my first arm, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to single crochet all the way back, right across, and then make another 50 stitches for the other arm. So remember, when we start our row, we make 1 chain and then single crochet all the way across. We just make a plain single crochet all the way along our chain and across the body of 12 stitches, and then we're going to make our other arm. So carry on and I'll meet you when we reach the body. So now I've single crocheted all across the arm, the 50 stitches, and I've reached the body. And now I'm just going to single crochet across the 12 stitches, and we just simply from the single crochets of our arm, we just continue straight onto the body in single crochets. And I'll reach you at the end of the 12 stitches on the other side of the body. I'll meet you. So now we're at the end of the body on this side, and we're going to make the other arm now. So for you, if you're making the normal teddy, it's just 8 single crochets. It will be like that, and then you single crochet all the way back across the body, across the whole of the other arm, and back for 6 rows, and the arms are 6 rows. So I'm going to make again 50 chains, and then I'm going to come back with a row of single crochets, and I'll meet you here. So now I've reached the body, I've chained my 50 and I came back with a whole row of single crochets and I've reached the body again. I ran out of lilac here, so I tied on some yellow, and now we are going to go across the body with our new color and then all the way to the end of our other arm with single crochets, come back with single crochets, go across the body, go all the way across our other arm with single crochets, come back all the way with single crochets. We're going to repeat this for a total of 6 rows. So continue making your arm, change color whenever you want, and I'll meet you at the end of the 6 rows of both arms. So let us begin the neck and head. So here I'm going to finish off with a chain and pull through, and I'm going to start my new color in the next stitch. So I'll pull up a yarn of my new color, make a chain, and that's my new color fastened. Pull tight, and now one chain. So just for myself, I'm going to tie these 2 colors together at the back because I don't want any gaps or anything. So now I'm going to make single crochets for 12 stitches. So remember, when we start our row, we chain, that's what I just did, and then in that same stitch we make a single crochet and then 11 more to reach the end of the body. Go through under both loops. There's a normal single crochet under both loops. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's very easy to pick up stitches here and go crazy, but try to keep to 12 stitches all the way for the 16 rows. Okay, also what I found is that if I change colors too much in the face part, then it's difficult to make the face really look like a smile and so on. So I rather keep 8 rows the same color, and then I continue changing colors again. Okay, so for my 8 rows for my face, just to be able to make a face, I prefer, instead of the lines determining the look of the mouth, etc., I'm going to make just one color for 8 rows. So now we're going to chain 1 and turn our work, and then again we start in that little loop right at the beginning. See, not this one, we start here. So now we single crochet all the way across for 12 stitches. So for the next 8 rows, 7 rows, I'm just going to make this specific color, and then I'll meet you at the end of a complete set of 8 rows of single crochets. Remember, go under both loops every time, and remember to make your chain at the end of each row and then turn your work. So continue for 6 more rows of the same color, and I'll meet you there. So now we have completed 16 rows of the face, and what you see here in front of you, this is what your teddy is going to look like. The size of it is pretty big. It would fill up both hands. If you put your hands next to each other, it would lie full in both hands and actually spill over your hands. Especially with the huggy arms, it's quite a nice size teddy. A child will be able to hug it. So we're going to do the mirror image of it in the next video, which means another 16 rows of the head, and then the arms again, and then the legs, and then we're going to fold it back under this part of the teddy in order to be able to stuff it. So I'll see you in the next part 2 of this video. Thank you. Bye. Until next time, tot volgende keer.